Good afternoon. I'd like to start by thanking everyone for coming. I'm completely overwhelmed by the effort everyone has put in for my welcome home party. So, especially Vicky, she looks so beautiful in that dress. Thank you. That was a joke. Obviously, as best man, my main job is to talk about Paul. So what can I say? Clever, witty, charming, handsome. I'd like to introduce my fellow best man and favourite brother, Steve.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. To help me give you a bit of background, Chris and I both met Paul in the 80s. I've known him a couple of years longer, but ever since we met, he's been like a brother to us.
Anyone who didn't laugh at that is probably because you didn't realise that we are actually Paul's younger brothers.
Paul has been very specific about what we're allowed to and not allowed to talk about in the speech. There are various things he's asked us not to mention, such as his stag do, previous girlfriends, his criminal record, or any of his various addictions. He's also asked us not to just fill the speech with smutty innuendo, so I promised him that if there's anything slightly risque, I'll whip out immediately.
Paul was born on January 29th, 1982. Bucks Fizz were at number 1, and apparently the staff at Watford General Hospital still refer to it as Ugly Friday.
When he was born, he was named Paul Andrew Harris. For those of you that don't know, our dad's middle name is Charles, and our granddad's middle name is Charles, and his dad's middle name was Charles, and this goes back for 7 generations. So as the firstborn, Paul should have been given the middle name Charles. Unfortunately, Mum and Dad took one look at him and decided he was not worthy of carrying on this great family tradition. Instead, he gave him the middle name Andrew, and he saved the Charles for their second-born, which I must say I find extremely proud.
As a child, Paul had an extremely interesting life. Luckily, we've managed to get access to some of his early diaries and can give you some examples of these fascinating times.
Friday. Tomorrow night there is a playgroup disco, and I might be going to it, and if Dawn goes, I will dance with her. I will enjoy it there a lot. I'm having my hair cut too, so everyone might see me with spiked hair like a hedgehog.
Monday 31st of October. In the holiday, I went to watch Watford, and it was 4-0 to Watford. And on Friday, I had visitors, and Ruth and Lynn came, and Ruth likes Subbuteo.
He's also very creative, and from a very early age, he's been impressing us with his storytelling abilities. So again, we'd like to give you a couple of his early stories, just to demonstrate this. Once upon a time, there was an old man and an old woman. They were very poor, and they did have nothing to eat. One bright sunny morning, the old man decided to go to Brickwood Farm to get some food. The farmer had lots of vegetables and sweet fruit, and the old man brought some fruit and vegetables, and lived happily ever after. That's it.
The story is called Animals in Danger. One day, Mr. and Mrs. Rabbit were walking down Littletown, and Mrs. Rabbit had her best bonnet, and it had yellow ribbon on it. It was a very pretty dress too. Then Mr. McGregor came up the road. They quickly hid, but Mr. McGregor saw them, he caught them, and that's the end.
Growing up, some of our best times...
It's not that yet.
Oh, sorry.
We've also been contacted by someone who received a nice letter from Paul and was very keen for us to read it out. Don't worry. Dear Santa Claus, thank you for all the gifts that you brought me last year. I've really enjoyed playing with them. I hope you enjoyed your glass of sherry, and I hope Rudolph enjoyed his carrot. But last Christmas is long gone, and I hope you're healthy enough to come this year. I would be very grateful if you could bring me just Subbuteo. But if you haven't time, don't worry. Yours sincerely, Paul Harris.
Growing up, some of our best times were sitting and watching WWF wrestling together. Inevitably, this would always end up in us trying out some wrestling moves on each other, and it wouldn't take long until I got hurt and I'd lose my temper. Thankfully, Vicky always makes Paul call me up the next day after work and apologise.
Anyone who knows Paul, and in this room there should be quite a few, will understand how important it is for him to be known as the funny one in the family. So, to make sure we don't upstage him on his big day, he's given us a list of the three funniest things he's ever said and asked us to read it out.
The funniest things I've ever said by Paul Andrew Harris. Coming in at number 3.
I've been waiting here so long, they should rename me Paul Q.
At number 2.
I'm not Italian, don't be Sicily.
And finally, number 1 of the funniest things I've ever said.
I spend so much time in my swimming trunks that they should rename me Swimming Paul. Paul's words, not mine.
Many of you will also know how much Paul loves to dance. He loves his salsa and his ballroom dancing. He used to be really into the hokey cokey, but he managed to turn himself around. And that's what it's all about.
Paul does love to dance. There have even been rumours going around that today has only been organised so that he gets to dance first and everyone has to watch. I'd just like to say that this is completely untrue. You don't have to watch.
Paul likes to think he's the cleverest in the family, but he spent 10 years of his life as a Luton Town supporter, so you be the judge. In the last few years, he's finally seen the error in his ways. We can only hope he's more faithful to Vicky than his football teams.
We've been made to promise that our speech wouldn't just be immature jokes and would include some sentiment as well, so here goes. Paul, you've always been a fantastic older brother to us, and we're extremely honoured to be stood here alongside you today. We're very grateful that you asked us to be your best men, and are glad that you found someone to share your life with. We're honestly so proud to call you our brother, and the way that you've... Sorry, Mum, what does that say? I couldn't read her handwriting.
Of course, we're only joking. We are very proud of you, Paul. Dad's also told us that this is the proudest day of his life, watching 2 of his sons deliver a killer speech in front of his friends and family. I hope we haven't let you down, Dad.
And so to the thank yous. First off, we'd like to thank Vicky. She's worked incredibly hard to make this such a special day, and I'm sure you'll all agree that she looks absolutely stunning. It's a pleasure to formally welcome her to the Harris family. Vicky, you're a wonderful woman who deserves a wonderful husband, and we promise we're not going to rest until we work out what's gone on here.
We'd also like to thank the Frohnsdorff family for accepting Paul so willingly into their family. It's a very brave move. I mean, he is a nice guy, but I would never let him marry a member of my family. Finally, we'd like to thank everyone who's made the effort to be here to share this special day with Paul and Vicky. We understand that people, as mentioned before, have travelled from as far as Staffordshire and from Suffolk, from Wales, even Italy and from New Zealand.
You're welcome.
We reserve a special thank you for anyone who has ever played a board game with Paul. We appreciate you all turning up, as we know there isn't a single friend or family member that he wouldn't be willing to lose over the rules of Scrabble. To finish, we'd each like to offer you some words of advice as you start your new life together.
Paul, many people will tell you that love is more than just a 4-letter word. It isn't. I've counted it. It's exactly 4 letters.
I once read that love is 50% friendship, 50% trust, and 50% compromise. I hope that helps. So, ladies and gentlemen, please be outstanding to toast the happy couple.
We look forward to much success in your new partnership. To Paul and Vicky.
Well done.